Hello, Classic Crew, and welcome to today's episode of The Scoop. For those of you who are new to my channel, The Scoop is our opportunity to just have a chat as if we were at a coffee shop and we all were just hanging out and catching up about what happened over the course of the week. So today, because it's a little bit later in the day, I will be drinking some seltzer out of this cup, but whenever you happen to be watching this, grab a coffee or a tea or a hot chocolate or some seltzer just like me, and let's talk about what happened over the course of the week. So let's get into it. So let's start off today's episode by talking about the fashion of the RNC. So I wanted to touch on a couple of different outfits that I thought were real standouts from the RNC. And I know I talked about this a little bit in my best moments of the RNC video, but I only kind of briefly touched on it. So I thought I would just give a little bit more of my opinions when it comes to the fashion aspect of what women chose to wear at the RNC. And I thought that the women who spoke looked absolutely gorgeous. So the first person I want to talk about is, of course, Nikki Haley. I loved her pink dress. It almost looked like a coat dress, but one of the reasons I really liked what she chose to wear was that the sleeves were bedazzled, which I thought was brilliant because she's going to be talking with her hands a little bit, and when she does, there's an added visual interest when she moves her arms. And I thought that was a really good sartorial choice. I thought she looked beautiful. I loved that she wore a pink dress as she was speaking so strongly and firmly about her beliefs. That to me is the perfect juxtaposition, is that very feminine, beautiful pink dress and her speaking with a strength that I thought was very impressive. And as well, I loved the idea that it was almost a coat dress, that it wasn't just something that was incredibly fitted, although I do think that the women of the RNC who chose to wear more fitted dresses looked beautiful, but I liked that this was so unique and different, and it really worked for her. Next up, I want to talk about Abby Johnson and what she wore for her speech at the RNC. And mostly what I want to focus on were her accessories. Number one were her pearls. I loved her pearls. I love pearls generally. I think pearls are so beautiful, so classic. And again, they really just brought attention to her face, which when you're speaking and they're gonna be like zooming in on this part of you, bringing attention to your face with your jewelry makes total sense, as well as the navy blazer and the cream colored kind of satin top. That looked really, really beautiful, especially with the pearls, which played up that satin feeling in her blouse. But then she also wore a 1972 pin by a company called Cole 1972. And the 1972 is a reference to the year before Roe v. Wade happened. And I thought that was very unique and a great way to make a statement without even making a statement. Having that pin is so unique, so special. And I just loved what she did with that. She also looked absolutely stunning. And Abby Johnson is such an incredible voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Lastly, I wanted to talk about Elise Stefanik. I loved her blue dress. I loved that it had long sleeves, and what I loved most was that neckline. I love the kind of asymmetrical necklines that women are wearing more frequently on dresses that are kind of cut like that. I think that it's really, really flattering. It's that uniqueness that's going to bring attention to her face when they are zooming in and cropping you. So she did a great job with that. I also liked the color. I thought the color was really good on her, and I just thought that the dress looked great. So those are my thoughts on the women of the RNC. Of course, there were a lot of women who looked absolutely gorgeous. Melania, Ivanka, Kristi Noem, but I really love to hear what you guys thought. What were your favorite looks from the RNC? Leave it in the comments below. Next up, I want to talk about something kind of random. I wanted to talk about bug bites. I have gotten the worst bug bites in the last couple of weeks, and it literally took all summer for me to get a bug bite, and then they all happened at the same time, and they were huge. They were so itchy, and they were like lumps. I've never had bug bites that were that intense, and I don't know why they happened right at the end of summer. I would have thought I would get bug bites throughout summer, but apparently it was just the last month or two of summer that I'm gonna get bug bites, and it is so annoying. But I don't know if you've had the same experience, if you've gotten bug bites kind of all summer long, or if they've just started happening to you, or if you've had these really, really bad, huge bug bites, because they're not fun. Luckily, I do have the Benadryl cream, which makes a huge difference for itching, because I can just kind of like put that on and it really helps with the scratching and the itching, and it's very, very good. I recommend a Benadryl cream if you've had a similar issue, but I would like to know if anyone else is having a similar experience to me when it comes to bug bites. The next thing I wanted to talk about is kind of my favorite morning routine and breakfast routine, because I have been eating the same thing pretty much every day and I'm still not tired of it. I usually Instagram it, I usually share it on my stories, but it's something that I can eat every day and I don't get sick of it, and I still am craving it every day. So what I've been doing is I have been drinking a big cup of iced decaf coffee earlier in the day, and I have found that that really tides me over till about lunch, especially because I put in a little bit of oat milk and oat milk creamer. I don't want to put in a lot of oat milk creamer because that can be really caloric, but if I just put in 1 tablespoon of oat milk creamer and then a little bit more of just regular oat milk, I'll get the consistency that I like, and then I just mix that up and I put in stevia or something to make it a little bit sweeter because then it feels like a little treat. And I'll just sip that throughout the morning, and then I'll make myself a brunch, which I eat around 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And this is my very, very favorite meal of the day. So what we do is I actually freeze our bread because it gets moldy when we leave it out for too long. And then I will just pop a piece of whole wheat toast into the toaster. And then I will fry up 1 egg over easy so that it can still be runny, which I really like. And then as well, I'm going to give myself some sort of fruit. So I'll usually have grapes or a grapefruit. And then I'll make myself some soy bacon and soy sausages. So I keep kosher, and if I want to have any sort of dairy, then I can't have meat with it. And of course, most sausages are pork. So I eat the Morningstar ones because they are delicious and they also are dairy. So I can mix dairy, and that's fine if I want to put butter or something on my toast. And that whole brunch feels really healthy to me. It doesn't feel like I am eating something that's bad for me, but it's incredibly filling and it makes me feel excited every day and look forward to my lunch, my brunch. And it's great. And then after that, I just have a yogurt for a snack a little bit later. And then usually I make myself a big salad in the evening. My favorite salad recipe of all time. It's so good. And that's another thing I can have days on end and not get sick of it. So if you guys want to see a video of kind of my favorite meals, this meal, this morning breakfasty brunch meal, and then also my favorite salad, let me know in the comments because maybe I'll do something like that. But I'd also love to hear what are your favorite easy meals that you can have over and over and not get sick of. Next up, I want to talk about what I've been reading. Let me go grab it. Hold on. So the book that I've been reading is called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And it's all small stuff. And then the subtitle is Simple Ways to Keep the Little Things from Taking Over Your Life. I have been enjoying this immensely. It is super easy to read. Each chapter is 2 pages, and it's just little tips to help you find your calm and your peace. And I love it. I'm gonna read you guys an excerpt. So this is chapter 4, Be Aware of the Snowball Effect of Your Thinking. A powerful technique for becoming more peaceful is to be aware of how quickly your negative and insecure thinking can spiral out of control. Have you ever noticed how uptight you feel when you're caught up in your thinking? And to top it off, the more absorbed you get in the details of whatever is upsetting you, the worse you feel. One thought leads to another, and yet another, until at some point you become incredibly agitated. So he gives an example, and then he says, the solution is to notice what's happening in your head before your thoughts have a chance to build any momentum. The sooner you catch yourself in the act of building your mental snowball, the easier it is to stop. I just love how wise it is in small little bursts. And I feel like once I read this, I'm gonna read it again and write down notes on the ones that I think are really, really important and I can actually implement. Of course, I think I can implement all of these, but there are some that I might not have thought of, and that's really, really interesting. I want to mark this up almost with notes because I just really want to implement this into my life more, be more deliberate. And as you guys know, I've been on this whole calm and collected kick. And I feel like it has been making me so much more happy. So I really want to share this with you because I want you guys to be as happy as I have been feeling lately. Because it's not coming from outward things and things that are happening that are better or anything like that. It's an internal happiness of being more accepting. And that's just changed my life, honestly. So I'll try and find this on Amazon and I'll link it for you guys because I'm really, really enjoying this, and I bought this in the sale section of Barnes & Noble. You can find some gems there because I like to look at their $7, $5, and even $3 books. Sometimes you'll find stuff that's really good, and this was, I think, $7. Next up, I want to talk about what I've been watching. So I watched with Jacob the Bill and Ted movies, all 3 of them, because there's a new one that just came out, and I fell in love. Really surprised about that because when Jacob initially recommended the first Bill and Ted movie, I was not interested. It looked like a silly 80s high school comedy and I didn't want to watch it. But we got about 40 minutes in because I had a lot of preconceived notions, but 40 minutes in and I fell in love with it. And then we watched the second one and I loved the second one. And then we saw the third one and I thought it tied a perfect bow on the whole series. So for those of you who don't know what Bill and Ted is, it's kind of this story about 2 guys who are not the sharpest tools in the shed, who are in high school, and they are about to fail their high school paper. And someone from the future says that they have to do well on this high school paper because they are going to be the saviors of humanity. They're going to save the world. And so they then have to travel through time so that they can succeed on their paper. And it's a ridiculous premise, but it is done so well. And for 2 guys who are so stupid, they are so likable and you just fall in love with them, and you fall in love with what the movie is trying to accomplish, which is not a high-level drama, not a really smart comedy, but something that's just enjoyable and great. And I just fell in love with the whole idea of the movie. Now, the second one does something that's a little bit different than the first, and then the third kind of does its own thing, but each one has Bill and Ted as the main character. So you've got Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, that's number 1, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which is number 2, and Bill and Ted Face the Music, which is number 3. And I highly recommend the trilogy. If you haven't seen the third one and you've seen the first 2, you should definitely watch it. It doesn't ruin the series at all. It really ties a wonderful bow on the entire thing. Now, if you've seen the movies, the second one is my favorite. The character of Death is amazing. I love him so much. He cracks me up. The idea of his character is so funny. They do such a good job and it is fantastic to watch. And the other thing that I love about the second one is that the event of death, not Death the character, but the idea of death is made into something that's so kind of silly and lighthearted because Bill and Ted are just not very smart. So it doesn't become this scary, scary thing of, oh, you're gonna die, but oh, we died, dude, that kind of thing. It just lightens the mood about something that is very serious. And I can imagine that if somebody was nervous or thinking a lot about death, watching the second movie would kind of make it seem less of a big deal. And that sounds funny, but it works. It's very, very well done. And the third one, I'm gonna give my recommendation on. In the third one, you meet their daughters, and it's just really, really fun because they're not trying to make it bigger than it is. They're keeping it very much within the framework of the first 2 movies, and it does feel like a great way to end the series. So I would highly recommend seeing the third one if you haven't already. If you are a fan of the first 2, then going and seeing that third one. If you want to see it in theaters or just at home, I would definitely recommend it. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about today is something that I think is really important and not enough people do. And it's something that I've been doing for the past 3 years since Jacob and I got together. And that is making albums. So I think we all have a million pictures on our phone, but we don't actually have something printed to hold on to. Something that if you lose your phone, you would still have something to show your kids. And when Jacob and I got engaged, I decided to start making albums every year with all of the pictures from that year so that we would have something to show our kids. And so I just made another album, so that's why this is at the forefront of my mind. It was a little bit later than I wanted. I wanted to do it in May, but I did get it done, so it's in the mail. But it's really nice to have those pictures that you cherish printed out and off of your phone, and really something that you can hold on to and a memory that you can share with the people around you, because you're not going to show your grandkids or even your children pictures on your phone, but they might want to pick up that album that you have of your trip to Italy, I don't know, wherever you travel. So I really recommend taking the time, going on Snapfish or Shutterfly or whatever it is, and printing out your pictures because you're gonna want those in 10, 15, 20 years, and it's nice to be able to have them. Last but not least, I wanted to quickly touch on the death of Chadwick Boseman. He was the actor who played Black Panther, and of course he did many other roles, and he just recently died of colon cancer at 43. He never told anyone. It was not public information that he was dying, and he passed away. And the fact that he fought through cancer for 4 years while putting out films that inspired children everywhere makes him a hero. So I really just wanted to say rest in peace before we closed out this video. And that's it for today's episode of The Scoop. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and blog if you haven't already. Head over to my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and follow me there. Hit that notification bell to get notified of all my new videos. Hit that like button. Please head over to classicallyabby.locals.com if you'd like to support my channel, see more of this content, and be part of our community. And I'll see you guys in my next video.